What's happening, friends? Welcome to episode 83 of the Game Moose podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Turford, alongside the Brock star himself, Brock McLaughlin.
Hey, what's going on?
And the ghost with the most on the far end there, Drew McMillan.
I can't be the ghost with the most anymore. They deleted me from the lore.
What?
Boom.
All right.
Boom.
First of all, we got to explain. Actually, you know what? No, you're not going to explain it now. We're going to talk about it later.
Yeah.
So on today's show, we're going to sort of wrap up all of the news that didn't come out of the press conferences. I'll explain why in a second. We're also going to talk about the Xbox One X and why we think it's a cool thing or not a cool thing. And, of course, we're going to crown our game of the show at E3. But first, I wanted to get this out of the way, of course, before we jump into the show proper. I want to thank everyone, of course, at home who might be watching or listening now who checked out any of our E3 coverage. We had a ton of fun doing the live streams, and it's something we want to do more often, for sure, like live streams like that. So, of course, if you have something you want us to do or like a live stream in mind, you can always tweet at us at game_moose_cast on Twitter, or you can just write us on an email, just gamemoosecast@gmail.com. I forgot all the extensions.
Yeah, we have all kinds of things. We're like on Instagram and all kinds of weird stuff.
The things and the widgets and the who's-its.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. All right. So before we jump into the news, Drew, explain to me what you talked about just now.
So we know that Destiny 2 is coming out soon. It's coming out in September. And they were at E3, of course. And so was Luke Smith. And Luke Smith did an interview with Jason Schreier. And he asked him some stuff, Jason asked him some very pointed stuff about what's going on with the lore. So I had noted, and Ryan, we had conversations about this. There's no reference to the darkness anywhere in the Destiny 2 like trailers or anything like that.
Not one. In fact, you pointed out on this podcast multiple times that this was not a thing that we had heard about.
So according to Luke Smith, they are purging all references to the darkness from Destiny 2.
Why?
The darkness is not a thing anymore.
And why is that?
Because they don't know what it is.
Of course.
They just were like, well, it's the darkness, and that was kind of it. And they didn't know what to call it or what it was or how it worked, so they're just not talking about it anymore. He did give hints that they will talk about it at some point in the future, that might happen, but, for the time being, nothing. Same goes for the Exo Stranger, who was like a big character in Vanilla Destiny 1's story. The Exo Stranger is... as far as Luke Smith's concerned, is that arc is done. She showed up to give you a cool gun. She gave you the cool gun, and she's gone.
Of course.
Which, of course, doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense because she does actually. She seems to have play some important role in the story. It just seems like they just kind of don't care, and they're just kind of moving on. They're just moving forward with. They have a new writer and stuff like that, and I can see that the writer wouldn't want to be like tied to having to deal with that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, that no darkness, no Exo Stranger, at least in Destiny 2 as we know it. There might be some reference to that stuff in the future. He hinted that we have figured out what we want to do with the darkness now, and he seemed to suggest that was going to happen after Destiny 2. Perhaps an expansion content.
That's so weird.
It is. It's just a big part of like how much of a mess that game is. It was a game they were working on for like 8 years, and then then they changed everything at the last minute, and now they just don't know what the fuck is going on, which would make sense based on what we've heard about what happened at the studio and how like they fired like their head writer and all that kind of stuff. So it sucks. As someone who really likes Destiny and the lore and was hoping that was something that they would expand on, I didn't necessarily want like definitive answers to this stuff, but. Give us something, man.
Especially in the first game, they were like sort of like pitted as like the big bad guys, like the big bads that you never saw.
Yeah, like, the darkness was the thing that was basically controlling everything. The darkness hated the Traveler, wanted to destroy the Traveler, and was the reason why all of the alien races were showing up in the Sol system and going after Earth and taking on humanity. So yeah. The more it just comes down to the fact that the more I read of Luke Smith, the less I like him. He just kind of seems like a fucking knob, like especially when it was like, like the Exo Stranger. She gave you a cool gun at the end. Like that's pretty much that's an arc, right? Like Luke. No, it's not. It's not. at all.
So weird.
That's not how stories work.
I mean, it's exactly like Knights of the Old Republic too, how they like reference the real Sith, not these fake Sith that are just Dark Jedi, and then they never explained that because there was no Knights of the Old Republic 3.
That's right.
It just made me sad.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to get into the news now. First of all, the news, none of the stuff that we're going to sort of wrap up here is from the press conferences, because the last time we did that, it took like an hour and a half to do all that stuff. Plus, we actually recorded reacts to every single press conference where we went over all the news stories and all that stuff from the press conferences. So
that's in the podcast feed. You can go back and listen to all of those things.
Yep.
Except for EA, because EA, we were having some technical problems, and let's be real, it wasn't worth talking about.
We're going to talk about the one EA thing they announced anyways.
Yeah.
So for the most part, we got our bases covered here, ladies and gentlemen.
We can talk about like the YouTubers fucking up during the EA press conference.
That's so mean.
Well, here's a lesson for everybody. Just because someone is good at talking to a camera doesn't mean that they're good talking to a camera live.
I felt so bad for the one guy for like who was talking about Need for Speed though, because he was just not very good at ad-libbing because the teleprompter broke.
Yeah.
And like we all thought it was like him just being really like nervous on stage, but no, just the teleprompter broke, and that's not a very easy skill to have. Like that's something that we were sort of taught in broadcasting school, like how to ad-lib properly. That's why I always make up weird stories about nothing, because that's sort of my way of being like practicing ad-libbing. But it's not a skill everyone has.
So he did sort of a mea culpa, but I think the bigger thing there is, it's not his fault. It's totally EA's fault. Like EA, don't hire YouTubers. They're great people and they have a great following, but let them do what they do best. If you're going to hire a YouTuber to make a cool like video for you. Don't hire a YouTuber to stand live on stage. Find some people who are good at standing live on stage for that. Yeah. You know, I mean, the same is said like other big stars that have done this in the past, like Jamie Kennedy. He stunk up the room too, you know, like,
oh geez, that was bad. So bad.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Just because someone is a star doesn't mean they're good on stage. And I mean, like, the other side of that is, I've already forgotten her, Aisha Taylor. She's fucking great, but she's great just because she is good on stage and she has some experience. Like she's done stand up and stuff like that, you know. So she has that. It wasn't because she was a good TV star that she was good doing that.
Now the real thing is, there's only been one really good celebrity on stage, and Brock and I know who that is. The Rock. The Rock is the only one.
Yes.
You don't have to fake that. He's just amazing as is.
No, he didn't come out like Jamie Kennedy and started making fun of all these gamers and they just live in their basement with their mothers. That was awful.
Man, out of all your predictions, Brock, I can't believe that was the one you got wrong. The Rock not being on stage with a real oven.
I don't want to talk about my predictions anymore. It's a real sore spot here.
Buddy.
Yeah.
I thought there was genuinely going to be The Rock on stage with an oven, with a rock in the oven.
No, the Xbox One X was in the oven because that's what The Rock was cooking.
I would have preferred there to be an actual rock. I mean, that was my interpretation of Brock's.
The thing is, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Not The Rock cooking an actual rock.
Can you smell the rock?
He's not cooking himself. That's not how it works.
That would be fucking great. I would. Yeah, I watched that podcast, or I watched that press conference all day long. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
All right. So first news story, and this came out actually like a couple days before E3, but I wanted to throw it in there because Drew and I are actually huge Mega Man fans, so I thought it'd be worth talking about. Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 was announced. It contains Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yep.
Is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on August 8th. I'm excited to jump into some of those games, even though Mega Man 7 and 8, not good games.
No.
Mega Man 9 and 10, though, are awesome.
9 and 10 are really fantastic.
Yeah.
It's worth going back. They added some weird stuff to like the Mega Man lore in 7 and 8. Like the whole thing with bass and treble. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
They also, of course, the weird cinematics from 8 will be back, including Dr. Wowie.
Dr. Wowie.
We must get the energy pellets and stop Dr. Wowie.
That was at a time where video game production in Japan was higher budgeted than North America. So whenever they did localization, they hired voice actors. They were like, either they were the cheapest voice actors they could find, or they were like the guy from accounting,
like the custodian or whatever. Because again, like the whoever plays Dr. Light, they just let him just go. They did it. There were no takes or anything. There was second take or anything. Like he totally flubs his line. It's amazing.
Like, hey Frank, are you done with those accounts receivable? We need you to voice some lines in the booth. Yeah.
This collection won't have like a rewind button or anything, will it?
There isn't a rewind button, but there's a lot of checkpoints.
Yeah.
Like there's added checkpoints, save anytime, things like that are added. So you might not be able to use saving, but you won't have to worry about lives or anything like that, because that's something that you can turn off, by the way, if you're someone like me who doesn't like any of that stuff. You can turn it off. Or if you're like Brock and you want the game, like you didn't grow up with that like we did,
No.
so it's a lot tougher to go back to those games.
Yep.
I totally admit that. So either way, I'm excited to play that collection again. It's coming soon too. It's weird that it's not coming to Nintendo Switch or portable consoles, because the first collection did. So it's a little bit of a bummer. Next up, BioWare has confirmed that the lead writer of Anthem is in fact Drew Karpyshyn.
Not this true.
Not this Drew. Different Drew.
I'm not. My last name is not Karpyshyn.
Yeah. So he was actually the lead writer on Mass Effect 1 and 2, as well as Knights of the Old Republic. So that's really fucking exciting news. He actually left BioWare for Mass Effect 3. He didn't write Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect Andromeda or the Dragon Age games. He's only really been associated with Mass Effect 1 and 2 and then Knights of the Old Republic, which is exciting news because Drew actually is a very talented writer.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Wait,
Drew.
sorry.
Still the wrong Drew.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what the story for Anthem is going to be, or what type of dialogue there's going to be. We saw a little hint of that in the trailer.
It's got a bit of an overlap with Destiny. We've got sort of like there's this city and they're like these people protecting it, and the city is surrounded by a great big wall, and there's like wilds on the outside, and
Kind of like Attack on Titan.
those are all sort of very superficial things. Yeah, kind of like Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite anime, I understand.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with like naked people with no genitalia, at least in this game.
Yeah.
Just in real life.
Yeah.
Just in real life.
I just wish they were. Yeah, I'm. That's probably the one thing about Attack on Titan is I wish the giants had genitals.
Yeah.
That would make for a much more interesting show.
Clearly.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, just big old ding dongs and
Yeah.
and
So kind of like
Who
Dr.
needs
Manhattan
like a
from
club when you just have your dick?
yeah. Or like just the vaginas.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
I would feel that make them that much more scary.
Yeah.
'Cause, like genitals are terrifying.
They're already
as it is.
scary. They're gonna eat
Yeah,
you.
and now we have giant genitals, and the thing that is attached to them is going
Especially if
to
they're like
chew on you.
unkempt too.
Yeah, like not well taken care of at all. It's like a rash and like very hairy. Yeah, no landing strips on these giants. What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know.
I do not know.
And of course, just 10 minutes into the show, and the show's just already off the rails.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't even take that long, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're about to talk about my favorite subject in the whole wide world, guys. Amiibo.
yeah.
So during the Nintendo Treehouse Live segment, they unveiled a bunch of Amiibo because they showed off a bunch of different games. But of course, they announced some really cool looking Amiibo. So first of all, 2 new Fire Emblem Amiibos are coming.
Yep.
Because we need more Fire Emblem Amiibo, apparently. Crom and Tiki, they're coming alongside the release of Fire Emblem Heroes.
Finally, we got
Later
Crom.
this fall.
Like about time. I don't know how we got like Robin before Crom, but whatever.
Well, because Robin's actually in Smash Brothers,
I
whereas
know.
Crom is not.
Crom should be in Smash Brothers.
He's part of Robin's like super special move, though. If it makes you better.
Crom is basically Conan. Let's be real.
Kinda.
He's named after the god in Conan, Crom. By Crom, it's Crom.
Now the real question is
No Conan fans here?
No.
No.
The real question is though, when's the Tharja one coming? Because she's clearly my favorite. There needs to be a Tharja Amiibo.
Sorry, who?
She's from Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, that's why I know who you're talking about.
There's also a new Amiibo line for Mario Odyssey that's coming as well, including wedding versions of Peach, Mario, and Bowser.
Oh my god, I want that wedding Bowser.
They look so fancy.
He's so festive.
They really give me the heebie-jeebies. I feel like this is like going well into like the creepy Nintendo world. Like I know there's some hardcore Nintendo fans out there, and they want to have like Nintendo-themed weddings and stuff like that. And I feel like that's what they're tapping into with this. And for whatever reason, it just gives me the creeps just a little bit. Just a little bit, especially considering it's Peach, Mario, and Bowser all in like wedding attire. So like, are they suggesting that they got like a group thing going on?
I was confused why Luigi's not involved and why Bowser would be the best man.
Yeah.
It-
Is
or maybe they're-
that what's happening?
I don't know. Maybe they're all getting married to each
No,
other.
they show it in the trailer where Bowser sort of crashes Mario and Peach's wedding.
Well, it's nice of him to dress up for the occasion.
At least Mario popped the question.
Yeah.
At least we finally know that. Luigi also, of course, not even
That's
seen
not the only
once.
thing he popped.
I was secretly hoping there was going to be some kind of like brother-husband situation where Bowser was like Bowser just was involved in the relationship. Like they just had like a, like they shared the housework and
They just have a special thing going.
And Peach.
Maybe Peach is getting married to Bowser, and then Mario comes to ruin it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Did you ever think about that?
They're all wearing sparkling white suits, though.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better. They're very fancy.
I know. I want one of those suits.
Yeah.
Top hat and all.
Jesus. So they launch alongside the game on October 27th. There's also going to be a Koopa Troopa and a Goomba amiibo as well. So just in case we've run out of Mario characters yet, there's still that.
And I feel like they should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah, I feel like that should be like standard, like
Yeah.
when the Mario for Wii U came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goomba amiibo.
I kind of want to see a Mario Goomba. So, like in Odyssey, how Mario can inhabit other creatures.
Yeah.
When he goes inside a Goomba, the Goomba gets blue eyes and a mustache.
Yeah, and that hat.
And the
Don't
hat.
forget about the hat.
Yes.
Because that's how you take possession of characters.
Is the hat getting its own amiibo?
No.
Cappy.
His name is Cappy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, he's not getting his own amiibo.
Not yet.
He appears to be a ghost inside a top hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It allows.
The ghost with the most hat.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, very nice. That's good branding. It's on brand.
Jesus. All right. Next news story. Atari. Yes, that Atari, ladies and gentlemen, has announced that they are making a brand new console to compete with the PS4 and Xbox One. The full announcement is supposed to come sometime next year. Why is this a thing that's happening? Didn't they learn with the Jaguar not to make any more consoles?
I don't know how I missed this news, but you told me about 5 minutes before we went to air, and I'm still very confused.
So let's talk about what Atari is. Atari is not what it used to be.
No.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. Atari essentially went bankrupt and wasn't a company for a long time. The name was sort of deemed to be worth something, and it kind of got passed around and is now part of like another like holding company.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Is
what?
this why they're in the Blade Runner trilogy? Or
Yes.
in the trailer? Because in the
Probably.
future, this Atari console will take over?
It comes out and it just blows everyone out of the
All
water.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Shit.
with the release of ET2, it's just going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah. So whoever this is, I guarantee this isn't. Well, Atari isn't actually doing this. Atari is owned by someone else. I don't know who.
Yeah, there was a
anymore.
news story that we talked about a couple months ago when Atari, the name Atari, was bought by someone else.
That's like the third fucking time that's happened in the last 40 years.
But this time they're actually doing something with it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who they are, and guaranteed they're just like it's some other company that's building it and they're slapping the Atari name on it. This is a little bit like the Coleco Chameleon kind of situation, but a little less sketchy. Because Atari has a little bit more juice than Coleco, which is literally just some like law firm that owns the name Coleco somewhere. So I don't know. Don't get your hopes up for this thing.
No.
I doubt this is ever going to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, if anyone learned anything from the Ouya, it's that not all consoles need to come out.
No. Fuck the Ouya was a mess.
Oh, God. I mean, at least he gave us Towerfall Ascension,
Yeah.
because that was an Ouya exclusive.
One could argue that
one
just
point.
Android did that, but
Yeah,
okay.
good point. All right, and our last news story that's going to sort of segue into our second topic. There's a little game announced on the Nintendo Treehouse that I freaked the fuck out about.
Oh, yeah.
Metroid Samus Returns was announced for Nintendo 3DS. Finally, we have a 2D Metroid coming out.
Yep.
How cool is that?
So this is not this was the second Metroid that they announced. They announced this one during the Treehouse. They announced the other one during the Direct, which was Metroid Prime 4.
Yep.
But unlike Metroid Prime 4, there's actually gameplay footage for this game.
You're damn right there. So they showed it on stage on the Treehouse for 50 minutes. They played this game. It was a long ass demo. So it's a 2.5D remake of Metroid 2. Very similar to something like Metroid Zero Mission, where they're adding new areas. There's probably going to be like a false ending, kind of like Metroid Zero Mission, where you go and do a completely different section before you finish the game. Things like that. It's coming out really soon. It's coming out on 3DS on September 15th. That's in like 2.5 months.
Yeah. Which is crazy. This also explains why they had their hard on to shut down AM2R.
Yeah, because apparently this has been in development since like 2014.
Yeah. And who is developing it?
Mercury Steam, the company who developed Castlevania Lords of Shadow and some other games.
That's the Castlevania game you didn't like.
Well, Castlevania Lords of Shadow was a fun game, but they did do a Lords of Shadow 3DS game that was
Mirror of Buttholes or
Mirror
something.
of Fate.
Yeah.
Which
Not
was
That sounds like an official title.
yeah.
Mirror. Well, I mean, if you're going to look at your butthole, you usually have to use a mirror.
Yeah. It was a Metroidvania game, and it didn't really. It didn't really jive that well. The sort of idea that they've talked about with this announcement was that Mercury Steam pitched to Nintendo to do a 2D Metroid game, and this is sort of the test bed for that. So if Mercury Steam does a good job with this one, it sounds like they have many more ideas in the pipeline for 2D Metroid games that sound like they could be a reality in the future. We could finally live in a reality where there will be multiple 2D Metroid games again, Drew.
Yeah, I think this is crazy. Like we went into this completely hopeless. So like, there's never going to be another fucking Metroid game, and now there are 2 coming out.
I famously at the beginning of the year made the prediction that there would be no Metroid game released this year.
Yeah.
Who's wrong?
Yeah.
It's almost like my prediction willed this into existence because every year up until this year I had predicted there would be a Metroid announcement. And this is the year I said there wouldn't, and there's finally a Metroid.
Just when you lose all hope, they pull you back in.
Yeah, exactly.
If all it takes is like goading Nintendo over podcasts to get them to make games we want, then yeah, let's do it.
Don't ever make Captain Toad 2.
Yeah.
Wink.
Don't make Metroid, Mario RPG 2. Don't
Yeah.
ever do that. Don't work with Square again. It's fine.
And-
they don't know what they're doing.
And definitely don't bring that little cloud guy back.
No. Fuck Mallow.
Yeah. Forget about it.
God. Now, one other cool thing they announced alongside this, which is really dope, is an Amiibo 2-pack. So in the 2-pack, there's going to be a new Samus that is in her various suit with the classic Metroid 2 cover pose, which is actually the pose she makes on the cover for this game, as well as a Metroid that is broken out of its case. I'm pretty sure that it's actually the baby Metroid breaking out of the case, because it's the same case that was featured in Super Metroid at the very beginning. And the Metroid itself is very squishy. They demonstrated that on stage, that you can squeeze the sides of the Metroid and it's squishy.
If I was ever going to buy an Amiibo, this would be it.
Yeah, so they come in a 2-pack that's releasing alongside the game on September 15th. So let's talk about this in more detail, because Metroid's finally back. Drew and I being like 2 of the biggest Metroid fans around.
Fuck yeah.
We really got to talk about the idea of there just being Metroid again. So first of all, Reggie talked about in a few interviews after like the announcements that Metroid is actually a pretty important franchise to Nintendo. They just really didn't want to talk about it until there were things to say. Mm-hmm. And now that there's finally things to say, we know that it existed. I mean, a lot of fans like us gave up hope. Like, truth be told, like we didn't honestly think there would be, especially after Other M or Federation Force last year.
Yeah.
Like, especially because Federation Force was such a departure from Metroid, and it was really not what Metroid was about at all. Like, that's sort of the whole thing.
So what have they said about Metroid Prime 4? Is Retro working on it?
It is not Retro working on it. It is confirmed that it is a new team, but they're not really ready to announce the new team. The new team's already formed and working on it.
Okay.
But they just don't want to talk about the team itself. Similar, it sounds like it's just Nintendo first party.
Yeah.
We do know that I don't remember his name, but the creator of Metroid, not Gunpei Yokoi, but there's another one of the people who worked on the original Metroid is working on both, like in collaboration with this new team.
Okay.
He's also working in collaboration with Mercury Steam on Metroid: Samus Returns as well, which is why like I feel like watching them play that game on stage, it really felt like the same Metroid magic is there with this. Especially, you can even hear it from the music cues as well, because the same composer who actually worked on Super Metroid is actually doing the music for both these games.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. And in fact, because they actually do some cool things where they use some of the music from the Game Boy games, and they do what they did with Zero Mission, where they
remixed it, resampled it,
but then they also have like musical hints from Metroid Prime in there as well. Like when you collect an item, for example, it does the Metroid Prime item noise rather than the classic Metroid one. Things like that. Like there's a lot of really smart nods to the original Metroid games in here. Cool. That I'm really impressed about. So, Drew, since you weren't on the reaction to us, you excited for this?
Yes, very much so. You guys saw my Facebook messages after you guys finished the live, because I was at work and I pulled up the video like in another window, I just went bonkers. I believe that their messages were just basically a lot of like OMFGs all in caps, another Metroid game over and over and over and over and over again.
A lot of exclamation marks.
A lot of exclamation marks.
I'm sorry, Brock, you had to put up with all of it.
A lot of caps. I really genuinely didn't believe it. I sincerely feel like they're throwing in like their fans a bone. I think they heard like the huge hubbub that came out of the Federation Force thing. They were like, well, clearly we got to make this fucking game because there are tons of people that want to play this, and we've got a console that's going to have heat on it. We should probably do something about this. So thank you, Nintendo, for actually listening to your fans and giving a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows too, because Metroid Samus Returns, I pointed this out to you guys that I've been sort of monitoring this closely on Amazon Canada, like, or even USA, like, it's one of the best-selling games coming out of E3, just in general.
Wow.
Not just in pre-orders, but just all, like, bestsellers just in general on Amazon.
It's not a new 3DS only title, is it?
No, you can play it on the original 3DS.
Thank God.
And, I mean, it incorporates some 3D elements, I hear, but you don't really need to play with the 3D.
I think they saw some stuff from 3D Land.
Yeah.
That they liked, where that they used some of like the depth perception stuff, and they wanted to
it's a lot of that stuff.
take advantage of some of that.
There's also, if you have a 3DS at home right now, you can actually download a trailer for it that is in full 3D, so you can turn the 3D on and see sort of how they're using the depth there. It's the same trailer we saw at the Treehouse.
Yeah.
They also showed it off on the IGN stage, and they played like a completely different section of the game, and it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm stoked. That's one of my most anticipated games this year, for sure. It also, they announced a cool collector's edition as well, where they basically did the same sort of remixing for music from all the different Metroid games. Like whether it's like all the different Prime games from Super Metroid, from the classic originals as well, like on a CD compilation that comes with the game. So if you are a collector, you better hunt that down, because those are going to go fast.
Yeah,
I've already like in the process of trying to hunt my own.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to have that. Because I think a lot of people didn't buy Metroid at the time because it's a tougher game to sell to an older generation, but like back before we had maps or the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas now so many people have played Metroidvania games, like even just on Nintendo's own platforms, like Cave Story or Spelunky, or there's a lot of Metroidvania games out there that aren't Metroid games, like even something like Guacamelee, Ori.
Yeah.
That now people are so used to Metroidvania games now that I think they're going to sell much better now than they ever would have in the past. Like I think the market is hungry for a 2D Metroidvania game.
It's hot,
like
hot,
Metroid.
Hot. Yeah.
Now, if only we can get another Castlevania game. That's a 2D Castlevania game.
Yeah, I don't think Konami's ever going to do anything worthwhile ever again.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe if the show really takes off.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring it back.
Or if they can somehow figure out how to leverage it in their health clubs.
Or Metroid, or Metal Gear Survive, if that does well. That's coming out next year, by the way.
Oh, fuck.
It's been delayed.
Yeah, it's been delayed.
Unfortunately.
I'm so
bad.
sorry, Brock.
It was at E3. They had a booth and stuff.
People played it.
Yeah.
I heard not terrible things about the people who played it as well. So,
I mean, it's not hard to make those survival games fun, and they have a bunch of really good assets from another game. The problem is it's recycled video game assets being put into a survival game. That's the shitty part.
yeah.
And it's not what you want from a Metal Gear sequel. You don't want Mother Base being magically transported to a dimension of zombies. Like, full stop.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah. Okay, so again, we're going to sort of move on, because, I mean, we could just talk about Metroid all day, I think.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about it much more as we get closer to Metroid, Samus Returns. I kind of want us to do a Metroid special at some point. Sorry, Brock.
That's all right.
I feel like we need to get you on the Metroid
you got to
train.
pull out some Metroid and have me play it. Because I really never experienced this kid, and I didn't like Metroid Prime.
Yeah. We should do a thing where we make you play, like...
We're probably going to play Super Metroid on
I can
on
see
Extra.
it on your shelf, and I remember renting that one. It's right there, right?
Yeah, Super Metroid.
I remember renting that probably like 10 times from Blockbuster back in the day, and I never got into it.
I usually complete it 3 times a year.
We should play like we should play like Zero Mission, AIM2R, and that like all in a row or something.
Yeah.
There
The
we
problem
go.
with AIM2R is that story-wise it goes in between the two of them, but that has more mechanics than Super Metroid
Yeah,
does.
now that I think about it, we didn't talk about the comparison with AM2R to this. Like, how do we think like AM2R is going to even compare to this game?
This game looks so different. Like, it's got weird stuff, like they were shooting missiles at like blocks that could only be destroyed with missiles. Like that's like nothing that's been in a Metroid game before.
Well, there was actually that in Super Metroid in some areas, because there were blocks that could only be destroyed with missiles and blocks that could only be destroyed with super missiles.
Yeah, I mean, but like they're like red glowing blocks. Like it
Okay,
was something really strange.
Yeah. They put in a lot of tools for people who didn't grow up with those games as well, which I think is actually really going to be really handy. Like being able to use a pulse ability basically to detect sort of the map around your surroundings and things like that.
And they've added like a whole like tier of, instead of just items, there's also like what they call the Aeon abilities, which will let you do other stuff. And you have like Aeon energy as another part of like your energy bar and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, you just refill it whenever you kill enemies.
Yeah.
They also, there's one other thing I was going to bring up, but now I forgot, which is always fun. Okay, let's just move on. Let's talk about Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Project Scorpio. We talked about this a little after the press conference, but I wanted to have like a deeper conversation about it. Now that we've seen most of the games coming after E3, sort of what our take is on Xbox One X just in general. Are we actually more excited, less excited? Because, I mean, our sort of reaction after the press conference wasn't super high.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go around the table. So, Brock, start us off. What do you think about Xbox One X?
I'm still very confused on what its purpose is.
Yeah.
And what exactly Microsoft is really trying to do with it, especially after the conference, and especially after a lot of the devs have come out and said that it looks the same on the PS4. Like, we haven't and obviously it's still new and they haven't really had time with it to upgrade yet. But a lot of people, I just don't see the need for this console. Like, a lot of people don't have the 4K TV capabilities to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Microsoft is going to lose money on every console they sell on this.
Yeah, that is
This is like a total loser console for them.
Yeah.
And without any kind of really big games, I just don't see why anyone would go buy this over an Xbox One S.
So, and you just hit the nail on the head. And that is that developers are saying it's not going to look any better than the PS4.
Well, PS4
Pro specifically. When it comes to development, first of all, the PS4, the PlayStation brand has edged out Microsoft as being the lead development platform for a lot of stuff for a number of reasons. Number one, there's more of them out there. Number two, it's easier to develop for, and there's more support. Not that Microsoft isn't doing a good job of that; they're just not doing a better job than Sony is. So as a consequence, games that when you have sort of like a disparate number of consoles out there that have different like capabilities in terms of hardware, a lot of the times the thing that makes the most sense for multi-platform development is to make it for the lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah.
So between the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, they're going to aim for the PS4 Pro and then just port stuff over. It's just easier to do. That's the unfortunate reality of it. Like, we're not going to see a lot of people going like, oh, we're going to specifically take advantage of the extra power on the Xbox One X, because it costs a lot more money to do that. And they're not going to sell a hell of a lot more units doing it. Like Xbox just doesn't have as big a presence. And the install base for it is right now is like very small. Like it's going to be however many units they can sell over the next 6 months after November, right? So
and rumors came out today that they have now sold 36 million Xbox units, and people think that's pretty high.
I mean, it was higher than the last number we heard from them, which was like 20.
20, yeah. So there was new reports today that said there was about 36 million units out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those already pre-existing owners are really going to upgrade for this.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking at? Probably 1%?
Yeah.
That's still like half the number as PS4 even, because the last time we heard PS4 numbers was 6 months ago and they hit 60 million the last time. That's almost double the install base. Mm-hmm. And not only that, they also mentioned with PS4 Pro, they mentioned that 1 out of every 4 or 5 PS4s sold is a PS4 Pro. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like, even contrary to sort of what we had sort of been hearing before, it's at least selling in some capacity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not super well, but at the capacity we sort of had expected.
Yeah, they got the numbers.
But PlayStation now has the cheaper unit.
Yep.
They have more games.
They have more first-party games.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from Japanese studios, because Japanese studios don't want to develop as much stuff for Xbox because the market isn't there for that. Stuff like Nier and Neo, for example, aren't really well. I mean, I guess Neo technically now is published by Sony, but at the time when it was first announced, it wasn't. Like those games don't even need to be published by Sony for them to be exclusive. Like Persona, like it's not published by Sony, but it's exclusive.
I think Xbox is also going to get fucked here really bad with that Super Mario Odyssey reveal. I mean, if you look at the numbers, that trailer has more views than anything that came out at E3, like by like shit tons. Yeah, and like that comes out like a week before. That's going to sell Switch units. Yeah, and for the price of a Switch, is about $400 Canadian plus the $100 game. You're looking at like about the same price as the Scorpio
before tax.
Yeah, before tax. And I would rather take the Switch because you're going to get that. You have Zelda, you have Mario Kart.
It's also somewhat portable. You know, it's got a lot of stuff going for it.
It's got dual functions, and you don't need a fancy TV to run it. Like it makes no difference, right?
And again, the thing that sells systems more than like fancy hardware are good games. I know, like all of us out there, we get really excited when we see fancy new hardware and we think it's really cool. But that being said, it's games that sell more than anything. You know, I got a PlayStation because I wanted to play Horizon and I wanted to play Uncharted and, you know, all the other games that are coming out on the PlayStation only. I got an Xbox because I wanted to play Titanfall 2. Those are the games that sold me, or not Titanfall 2, Titanfall 1. Yeah. Those are the games that sold me on those platforms. But like Microsoft's not doing that anymore. There's no killer app. We've said this a million times. Like Microsoft needs a great first party title that's just going to blow us away. And Halo 6 is in it right now. We haven't seen it, but
yeah, but that might not even be enough.
Like the previous Halo games have not been really tremendous. 4 and 5 were real swing and misses. So
from the Xbox camp, we saw a lot of great looking indie titles, but indie titles aren't enough. And you could get them on your PC, and they're like, these are games that easily can be run in a PC. Like they're not graphically heavy games.
Like Cuphead, even like one of the biggest games on Xbox.
Cuphead, you have Ashen, The Last Night.
The Darwin Project. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah, sure. But I can't. I'm blanking on the other indies announced. But
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, the one of their biggest announcements, was like, we got that exclusive for 2.5 weeks. But you can play it right now on the PC if you really wanted to. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of the same issue we experienced at the beginning of the generation. Like this is sort of going back to something you guys talked about before, where at the beginning of the generation, they still had to develop games for Xbox 360 and PS3 because those install bases were still bigger. Like it's the same thing happening now, where the games are targeted at Xbox One standard and PS4, not PS4 Pro and Xbox One S. Or X or whatever. It's so confusing.
I told you X and S were too phonetically close to one another. You really have to enunciate that X.
That was literally the first time I've done that.
I can just hear Beverly Lundy, my vocal coach, in my mind going, make sure you enunciate. Enunciation is the key.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that's sort of the biggest struggle. And sort of before we get some flack about this point, I do want to mention that Microsoft has been very clear about there being benefits for people on 1080p TVs, things like faster loading times, things like super sampled rates, so you do get better video quality. So there are elements there that will appeal to 1080p owners, and someone who has a PS4 Pro and not a 4K TV. Like there are some benefits there for the games that support that. But I don't know if that's a big enough investment for someone who isn't buying a 4K TV right away. Like, I feel like you're really going, like when it comes down to it, you really are going to want to have a 4K TV to really be able to take advantage of this. So I don't know if like $599 Canadian is nothing to sneeze at. No, that's a lot of money.
Double the price of the Xbox One S.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like marketing terms and buzzwords they're using on like their spreadsheet too, like comparing the differences. It's such like bullshit. It's like it really doesn't make any difference to the modern consumer.
Now, eventually, when there comes a day, which they keep saying there won't be, but there will be a day where PS4 Pro or whatever the next PlayStation is, and then Xbox One X are like the lead platforms. There will be a day when that happens where they won't have to worry about the other consoles like developing for them. And I think when we hit that point, then there will be the bigger difference on the power side, and that's where the Xbox One X's power will matter more, I think. Especially if there isn't a PS4 or a PS5 out by that time or whatever. Like when we reach that point, I think there will be a bigger visual difference in that sense. But as of right now, because everything is sort of being developed for those two other platforms in mind, that we're not going to really see as many developers really take advantage of that. And the developers that will mostly be first-party titles like Sea of Thieves, stuff like that, or whatever. We do know that Phil did openly talk about how address the lack of Microsoft-specific exclusives. And this is something we talked about on the after stream, like a sort of a theory, is that the idea that those games are very far away, because a lot of those games started when Phil took over.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they're not ready to be shown yet because they're still 2 or 3 years out and they don't want to show them.
We've talked about that. They are still reeling. Like Don Matrick is still rolling over in his grave, laughing, going, "Ha ha!" Oh, sorry, he's not dead. He's still laughing all the way from his chair atop his throne over at Zynga, going, "Ha ha ha! I fucked you, so good." Yeah, well, he's not actually doing that, but the reality is they are still reeling from some, I would say, really shitty decisions that Don Matrick made. Trying to make it more of a media platform, like a media device that does TV and all that other shit. Trying to go too far with the always online stuff, and like they're paying a heavy price for that. And same thing, like games development was not focused towards good solid games. I mean, I think that's abundantly clear. They were just trying to get volume and not quality.
Phil was getting hounded too over the E3 about hardware versus games, and he said for the last 3 years since he's taken over, they've really just focused on hardware. Yeah, with forgetting about the games
because they got to do shit like, well, we got to take the fucking Kinect out of it, and like there's no Kinect port on the X either, right? No. You have to use the stupid little dongle.
Well, even on the S, it's the same way too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they've completely gotten rid of that. I am really surprised that they still have the TV in on it, though. I think Jeff Gersman made a really good point when that was like, it cost them like 10 cents to include that thing now at this point. All the other shit is already in the hardware, so they might as well.
It probably would cost them more to take the programming out than to actually remove the
Why wouldn't they just use a USB camera?
They could probably do that.
Well, that's what the Kinect is now.
Essentially.
Kinect, when you buy it now, it comes like separately. It comes with a USB adapter that then plugs into your S, but because it also works with PC.
It's a big adapter though, and it's a big ass device camera.
It's a big camera.
It's really obnoxious. Like it doesn't fit anywhere on my wall.
And the other part about the HDMI thing, I just want to say quickly, sorry, is that they're already paying an HDMI licensing fee. They pay it once, right? It doesn't matter how many ports they've got on it. You pay the licensing fee. That's it. It's an HDMI device. So again, like they're already paying it to have the HDMI out. So Ryan, I think you're right. All over the board, it would just cost them more money to take that fucking thing out. But they're not putting any attention or care into it. They haven't updated those TV services. They haven't done anything new or interesting with them. And then again, and Brock, you're right. Like who cares about the Kinect? There are no like. What's a big Kinect game that's coming out?
Nothing.
There aren't any. The biggest Kinect game, hold on. The biggest Kinect game is Mixer because you use your Kinect camera from Mixer.
Well, again, if it's just going to be a camera, like just throw a cheap like HD webcam in there.
Yeah.
You know,
why not?
Or just announce, hey, good news, you don't have to use your Kinect anymore. Any HD webcam will work with this thing.
Yeah. Especially since it's Windows based for the most part anyway. So.
Yeah, fuck it.
The whole Xbox thing was kind of a letdown this E3.
Just make a deal with Logitech or something, and they can just slap on their boxes. Works with Xbox One.
Yeah, for sure.
Just do that. Fuck it. You know, because that's why I have my I peeled the brand new plastic off my launch day Kinect. Just so I could use it for Mixer. That's the only reason I've ever used it. That's why it's hooked up right now.
We finally have the Kinect killer app 3 years later.
You're missing out on an awesome game called Fru that came out last summer. That was incredible.
Fru is a great game, but let's be real. Like, it's not to go through all of the, because it's more than just hooking up the fucking thing.
Oh yeah,
you need the space and you need to make sure it's pointed at the floor correctly and that you're in the all that shit sucks. Yeah, that's why people don't want to do that.
I mean, I haven't had my Kinect since 2013. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
I use it to beat out bad guys that break into my house and try and kidnap me in the middle of the night.
Excellent.
It's a brick. It won't break.
I thought you were going to talk about your love for Fighters Unleashed, which was that amazing Xbox One launch game from Ubisoft.
I don't remember that one at all.
It was the Kinect only fighting game from Ubisoft that was like panned across the board.
I don't remember that at all.
It has a Metacritic score of like 3 or 2.
Nice.
It's great.
Yeah, that's not the one with Danny Trejo in it, is it?
It might be.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Well, that would make sense.
It's been so long since that came out, I don't remember anyone who's in it.
I really want to pull up a clip of Danny Trejo in that game right now. Because there's this whole thing where like he trains you and he's like, punch the screen. And then there's awkward
I'm
cuts
actually
in
pretty
between.
sure that's actually what
weird.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot that it was a thing that existed. So yeah, I mean, I do think that it's going to be a good piece of hardware, maybe in another year or two, when 4K TVs are cheaper and more people have them. But yeah, like just like the PS4 Pro right now, like honestly, my advice for people is just to wait.
Yeah.
Like if you can.
If you have a 4K TV and you don't have an Xbox of any kind,
Or if you have the original launch Xbox.
and you've got some money burning a hole in your pocket, then hey, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody came to me and said, hey, Drew, you won this extra 10 grand, I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll go buy a big, like 70-inch 4K super hot TV from our friends at Samsung and, hook it up to my awesome Xbox One X and just blow things away. Though, to be fair, I would probably buy a PS4 Pro first.
That's a sick burn right there.
Yeah, but Xbox One X
Sorry.
is not coming out with any big killer game. That's
I guess
also a massive problem.
The one thing that I really want to play on the Xbox One X in 4K is Anthem. And it's going to be a while.
But we also haven't even that hasn't even been confirmed that it won't be on 4K on PS4 Pro either.
No, but I mean,
So we don't know.
they have said that Xbox One X was their lead development platform for that game, though.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's sort of
by all accounts, it will look really great there. That doesn't mean it won't look really great on other things, but it's just like I just would want to have that experience to see what do they intend it for it to look like. So yeah.
Yeah, good point. And that's the thing. I don't think there's really a discernible difference right now between PS4 Pro and Xbox One.
Yeah.
There might be in a few years, but at least by then the PS5 might be up by then. Who knows? Like 2020, I keep thinking that's when PS5's coming out. And I think that's really going to change a lot of things.
Who left their phone on?
That was me.
I feel like it might be true.
I left it over there.
The ghost with the most is not, in fact, a ghost. He actually has a phone, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
That was my mom messaging me, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Drew's mom.
Hey, Mom.
All right. So enough Xbox One X talk. Again, I'm still hopeful for the future for the console, but yeah, it's going to be a while. It's going to really have to prove it to us, I think. Let's move on to our final topic being, what the hell, E3? Why are you so awesome? So we saw a lot of cool stuff, I think, at E3 this year. Let's go around the room real quick. I'm going to start with Brock first, since Drew's typing a message real quick. Brock, what did you think just overall with E3, just in general? Were you excited about this year's E3? Were you kind of disappointed? Like, what did you think just as a quick overall thing with E3?
Well, after all my predictions, I came off pretty disappointed that most of my stuff I saw didn't come true.
Like Splinter Cell?
Yeah, like Splinter Cell.
I'm going to just keep rubbing that in.
The Rock.
Thanks. The Rock.
The Rock.
No, it was good. I think for me, we saw a lot of stuff that had already been announced. There wasn't any big surprises for me that looked all that exciting.
And a lot of that stuff leaked ahead of time, too.
Yeah, a lot of it leaked. Like the Metroid thing was obviously a surprise. Everything from Ubisoft that was a surprise didn't really capture my interest very much.
Yeah, you're not a big Beyond Good and Evil fan? Is that it? Is that what you're trying to say?
We've just been waiting on it for so long. And that trailer, I don't know. I went back and watched that after, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a whole different vibe.
Hey,
pigs and monkeys?
it's got a monkey swearing a lot.
It's got a swearing monkey.
Yeah. The pig also swears a lot.
Xbox didn't throw any like big surprise announcements there. PlayStation didn't bring any new surprises, I don't think.
No.
We just saw a lot of the games we saw last year.
The crazy thing about Sony was there was more interesting stuff in the pre-show than the actual show. Like the
Knack, too.
like Undertale.
Undertale.
The Undertale physical thing for both Vita and for PlayStation.
Or just coming to PS4 just in general, like before the end of the year. Like,
That was
that's
cool.
huge news.
Yeah.
Because
The fact
Undertale's a big game.
and the fact that like basically we had Sean Layton and that was it, and he talked for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I bust Ubisoft's balls for talking too much, but like give us
John
fucking
Layton
something.
did tell us that ahead of time, though. That was our expectations going into the show.
It was my
he's like,
expectation. It still wasn't good.
He's like, he told us ahead of time, I'm the only one who's going to talk on stage, and I will be talking no more than 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the same can be said for a lot of other disappointing sort of performances where people are like, I'm going to do something X and it's bad. That doesn't mitigate it. Doesn't make it better. It made for the press conference was okay. I do appreciate that they focus on the games, but I want a little bit. I want to hear from the creators and why they're excited about games to some degree.
Yeah, there were some emotional moments in that Ubisoft conference with the developers.
Boy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with that one guy crying over the reveal of Mario versus Rabbids, which is, it was touching.
He was crying when like Miyamoto called him out and said, "I like you," and he was like, "Oh my god!" And to be fair, if Miyamoto said that to me in a room full of like several thousand people, I'd be a little misty too.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Michelle Ancel also was like, weeping that they're finally showing Beyond Good and Evil 2 for the first time in like 600 years.
The Toys to Life guy from the Ubisoft one was cool.
Yeah.
That was a space game from Toronto.
Yep. That was cool. That was very interesting. Yeah.
I'm very curious to see more about that game.
We should give him a call and go check him out.
We should.
Just go walk down
up
there.
the street.
We'll go. Yeah. They're over in the junction there.
They're over there.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the sense from both of you, I guess, a little bit more from Brock and a little bit from Drew, because Brock had more to say a little bit, is that you guys seem a little disappointed with E3 this year, just in general, like overall. Like, you're just disappointed that we just didn't see a lot of new stuff.
It was okay. I don't think the leaks ruined it at all either. I wouldn't put that in the leaks. I just don't think it was like, I don't think anyone really brought it to the table that much.
That's actually sort of how I felt about it too.
I don't think disappointing is the right word. That implies that I'm not happy with what happened. I mean, all of the stuff that came out, everything was fucking great. There wasn't like I was like, oh, that game looks like shit, or that was really lame, or that was really boring. There were a couple of moments where I was like, oh, that's kind of fan servicey bullshit. Like the fact that they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2 and didn't show a stitch of gameplay from that game. Like no. It's been too long. You have to show that game working. You cannot just show us another cinematic trailer 10 years later and go, we promise we're still working on it.
Or
like,
else
we know.
or else it's never coming out.
Or the same thing with Metroid Prime 4. You can't just throw a fucking logo on the screen after all those years of just completely being silent about Metroid. So, yeah, I mean, that stuff kind of sucked. But, like, fuck, God of War. We knew it was going to be there. They showed great sections of gameplay from it. It looks fucking fantastic.
Spider-Man.
Really excited for it. Spider-Man looked really great. Anthem just, I knew that there was going to be a new IP from BioWare. I knew it was going to be there, and I was really excited. I wasn't sure how much we were going to see of it, and I'm glad we saw just enough to whet my appetite and not too much to feel like I saw too much.
Yeah.
There were so many great games there. There were so many awesome moments.
The Mario Rabbids thing is my biggest surprise.
Shit. Nintendo
I can't get over that.
Nintendo really pulled it out. I mean, Odyssey is blowing everyone away. I watched so much gameplay of that game, and it looks so fantastic.
Both Yoshi and Kirby look incredible.
Yeah.
The Yoshi game looks fucking awesome. Especially I did not like Yarn World at all. This looks incredible.
Yeah. Or even something like Xenoblade Chronicles, which isn't being developed by Nintendo, also had a really strong showing too. Like that's a Switch exclusive. That's really exciting, especially for people like JRPGs like me. Like, I think that Nintendo, really killed it. Out of the three main first-party publishers, they had definitely the best showing.
Which is not at all what I was expecting.
No, not one bit.
So for me to come out of E3 and say, wow, Nintendo really wowed and surprised me at E3, that makes it a good E3.
Yeah. For sure.
Shit.
It also doesn't help too that we've just had such a stellar year in gaming already. Like we've had so many great titles already. Like this year's game of the Moose is going to be so hard to pick this year.
We're at that point in these console cycles where like we're mid-cycle for all of these things. People really have a firm grasp on what the consoles can do, how to leverage that, how to use the gameplay to the best advantages. They're pulling the best things from the previous games and putting them together, like Assassin's Creed Origins is a great example of that, or like Anthem. Those sort of games where you can see the history of those game companies, how they're building on those things to make the best game they can. It was kind of like I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was like the year that like Halo, I want to say Halo 3 came out.
2007, where Halo 3, BioShock, and
Mass Effect,
the Orange Box, Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah,
there were a lot of really good games.
It's like that all over again. Like we have so many great games, and I really, really don't know what's going to happen in my social life. I'm really scared.
Also, I just want to throw it out here because I just mentioned Half-Life. We got four out of the 5 big games that were announced years ago, basically either re-released or shown. We had Final Fantasy 15 come out last year. We had The Last Guardian come out last year. The 2 10-year development cycle games. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was shown this year, and Metroid Prime 4 was announced this year.
Yeah.
So the only one we're waiting on is Half-Life 3. That's it.
Just keep waiting.
Then we don't have. Then what else are we gonna rag on after that?
Balls in your court, Gaben.
Yeah.
Balls in your court.
I thought Bubsy was part of the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
It's Bubsy.
It's at the top. It is the top.
Yeah, it is the
Get
top.
hyped. Get hyped, dude. I mean, we don't,
Bubsy is when Bubsy and I get together. Bubsy's the top.
show's over, by the way. We don't even need to talk about anything
I'm
else.
a bottom
Bubsy.
for Bubsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, hashtag bottom for Bubsy.
I mean-
You're Bubsy's bottom bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk about PS4 exclusive, Bubsy right there.
Yeah.
That's the killer app, the real killer app. All right, so we're going to need to pick a game of the moose, but I'm going to go. We're just going to
Well,
list
game-
off the 3 announcements that we were. 3 announcements or 3 games that we were most impressed by.
Just to clarify, this is Game Moose's E3, Game of E3, not Game of the Moose, which is our Game of the Year show.
Correct.
Yeah, sorry.
Correct. So, and by the way, the last 2 years, Drew and I did this. It was Horizon Zero Dawn both years.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something different this time.
Yeah.
Drew, I'm going to start with you. What are your 3 things? And you don't have to go into detail. Just what are the 3 things?
Just the Horizon DLC. That's it.
Yeah. All right, we picked a winner already. Horizon.
That was a goofy. That was a goof. I'm excited for the Horizon DLC, but not nearly as excited as these other titles.
Yep.
Number 1, Anthem. Anthem with a bullet. I'm really, really excited about that game. Number 2, God of War.
Damn, son.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say I'd be excited, but I played through God of War 1 and 2. I liked them, and they were cool, and they had cool things going for them. But I didn't play God of War 3. I didn't play the better one.
Yeah. That was the worst of the 3, though.
Yeah, that game looks really, really cool. And the last one is Mario Odyssey.
Nice.
Yeah,
Brock?
I think I'm gonna have to buy a Switch.
What are your 3?
I got to go with Drew with this. Anthem.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anthem for sure. OG Xbox games.
Hells yeah, we freaked. There's a video of us freaking out on that.
Crimson
on the
Skies and Fusion Frenzy has been confirmed.
Yeah.
Fusion Frenzy is confirmed.
It's actually
Fusion Frenzy is confirmed.
all of the games that were available on Xbox 360 as part of the Xbox backwards compatibility are all confirmed.
You know what that means?
So Jade Empire,
Fable.
Jade Empire, Fable, Knights of the Old Republic, 1 and 2 actually, and then Halo 1 and 2, Ninja Gaiden Black, things like that.
I gotta hit a garage
Crimson
sale and
Skies.
pick up all these old games.
Oh, not only that, they also confirmed that number 1, if you bought those games on Xbox 360, the license carries over.
Yeah.
So you have all those games when they go live. And number 2, the OG discs will work
Yeah.
for any backwards compatible title, just like Xbox 360
It's
games.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So when they actually finally bring Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence to the platform, I have a copy in my closet. Or Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Finally.
Got that too.
Great.
All right, so OG backwards compatible,
OG.
and Anthem. What do you got next? What's your
I
third?
think I gotta go with Super Mario 2.
Yeah.
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 It's gonna be Spider-Man or Super Mario. I think it's gonna be Super Mario. Super Mario just looks so much fun, and
Yeah.
it's almost here. So I don't. It looks so good.
Spider-Man looks really great, but the one thing it seems to suffer from is a shitty villain.
Yeah, we
You
don't
mean
really,
Negative Man?
We don't really know much, right?
We know it's Negative Man.
It's Negative Man, who is a character who he's relatively new.
He can't be the big bad.
No,
though.
Yeah.
he actually is. In fact, it was actually because number 1, they came out and talked about it.
There's an article
Oh,
about it. Yeah.
oh,
Number
I
2,
missed that.
it was hilarious because there was I watched one of the IGN live streams after the PlayStation press conference, and literally they had one of their comics books guys just freaked the fuck out because he knew right away it was Negative Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm gonna
Funny
go-
thing is, there's a Negative Man, and then there's like a polar opposite. Like he gets split into 2, but his other
The other one's
personality is
Positive Man?
he's not Positive Man. He just uses his name.
Double Negative Man? You can't have double negatives, Drew.
Yeah, double negative does make a positive. That's true.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Mario Odyssey also looked really sick as well.
It looks so much fun, and everything I'm hearing is really, really good.
It's also hilarious because you throw the cap at the frog and then you be the frog.
Yeah, and he gets a mustache too.
Yeah.
I don't know
You-
why the mustache travels with the hat, but okay, I'll take it.
Hold the phone. You can be a fucking T-Rex in that game.
You can. You can also be a lamppost.
You can be
You can be a cone.
you can be a traffic cone or one of those little like springy traffic dividers, and you flip your hat into that, and then you launch yourself out of it. It's shit. The stuff that game does. Mm-hmm. I love the Maui. That was a section I saw a lot of people playing. The Maui kind of look like the Easter Island heads. They're like these stone heads,
Yep.
and they like kind of waddle around, and they have sunglasses. And when you possess one of them, you have an action button, and they flip their sunglasses down. They move a little bit slower, but they can see hidden platforms when they do.
so weird.
So they look really cool. They have these big Easter Island heads with these
Yeah,
little
like Mario was
sunglasses.
using that ability to sort of determine like where the hidden platforms were, so he
Yeah.
could find a moon because you're collecting moons in this game,
Not stars. Yeah, it's
Stars.
moons now.
The only thing I wish it had was co-op. It doesn't look.
There is
like
co-op.
There is.
Where the co-op partner, do you know who you play as?
You play as Cappy.
You play as Cappy.
It's pretty cool.
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
It looks like the Super Mario Galaxy one. where
It's
you-
a little bit like, excuse me, I'm going to say dirty word girlfriend co-op.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and
where it's a little bit
my
easier.
boy Captain Toad was in that trailer too.
That's true.
So you can find him in New Donk City exploring.
New Donk
So
City.
he'll probably be in every city
Yeah.
or in every level.
Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't Captain Toad, but just the Toads were in Mario Galaxy in the same capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So Captain Toad will probably, with no mention to Luigi though.
No, he's been rumored. He is in
Yeah.
it. They said they were going to reveal him.
They probably will. They'll probably have another way to play as Luigi again, like beating the game or something,
I
just
hope
like Mario
so.
Galaxy. was.
What about Yoshi?
No Yoshi?
No Yoshi.
No Yoshi confirmed. I haven't heard anything about Yoshi.
There's going to be
What?
Yoshi. If there's a
Yoshi's
fucking
in the game?
T-Rex, there's going to be Yoshi.
Have they shown Yoshi?
I thought so.
Because they didn't show him in the original trailer or this time.
Oh.
So
What
I thought
happens
he was
when he
in it.
possesses Yoshi? Man, that's going to be weird.
maybe Yoshi will be in it.
Yoshi doesn't put up with that shit.
Yeah.
Beats him down.
Yoshi has his own game. He doesn't need to be in this game.
No.
No, he needs to be in it.
Yeah.
Can't have a Mario game.
What about Kirby? Why can't Kirby be in this?
I don't want Kirby in it.
Kirby's not in Mario
Yeah.
games. Doesn't make any sense.
All right.
Yeah. Bionic Commando, though.
All right. So my three. We're getting
Yeah.
a little weird here. Number one, and these are in no particular order, by the way. So I'm not saying that this is the best or the worst. Metroid: Samus Returns is one of the games that I thought had a really good showing. The fact that they showed so much of it and it all looked fantastic, like that's definitely one of the games I was most happy to see there. Number two, Dragon Ball Fighter Z
Yeah.
looked
Yeah.
incredible.
That's like number 4 on my list.
And it's not even just the trailer. Like they were showing like off-screen gameplay. It looks like the Marvel vs. Capcom game we really wanted. Like it totally looks like Marvel vs. Capcom, which is hilarious because Marvel vs. Capcom released a demo that Drew and I at least have played. Did you play it?
I didn't
at all?
play it.
Like we played that demo and we're not impressed with it. Like I thought the fighting mechanics were okay, but the story is really bland. And
What's up with the really bad facial animations?
yeah,
They are horrible.
Or the character designs are very different this time around.
Yeah.
Even from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like they look like Chun-Li, for example, looks like so much worse. It's really weird.
I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah. I mean, the gameplay itself is fun, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z looks like it's going to be a really fun game to play. It looks amazing as well. Like I think it's going to be a really solid game that's going to really sneak up on people, I think. And the last one, Mario Odyssey. Like Anthem was my number 4, and you know why my Anthem was my number 4? Because it wasn't really playable. Like they showed us that playable chunk in the video, but we didn't really see anyone playing it. Like there was no, I don't think it was even behind closed doors or anything like that either. Like I don't think it was playable in any capacity either. But that would definitely be my number 4. But Mario Odyssey, like for all the reasons you guys pointed out, like it looks like an amazing game. So time-
Nintendo better start stocking those Switches now for that game.
That game is
'Cause
gonna
that game
fly
is going to be
ourselves.
on every kid's wish list.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. All right, let's pick our game of the moose for E3. What's our game of the moose?
Anthem.
What do you guys think?
Anthem.
Siesta Mario.
That's
Yeah.
got to be Mario. I'm sorry. It has to be.
It's got to be Mario.
It's the one we sort of universally agree across the board, I think. It has to be. Because again, for the reason I just mentioned with Anthem, I would want to give it to Anthem, except for the fact that it wasn't playable. Like, it still
Yeah.
seems like it's too far out to be able to tell, like, how much of that trailer was scripted or how much of the game's really going to look like that. Mario Odyssey was shown in such a capacity that we know what that game's going to be.
Yeah, everybody was playing 10-minute demos of that game, so everyone got a juicy chunk out of it. You know, everyone has and everybody's raving about it, like all across the board. Like Nick and Griffin from Polygon are like game of the year.
It won Best of Show at E3, right?
Our friend
Yeah, from
Paul
many,
Hunter,
many
who
places.
is, Paul, like, is very selective about games he likes. He loved it. The guys from Giant Bomb raving about it. The guys from IGN. The guys from I've already forgotten the name of the outlet. Waypoint. Every single group was like, no, this is the best game.
I actually think the only outlet that didn't give it game of the show was kind of funny because they gave it to Spider-Man, but it was the runner-up. So
Right.
it's just like almost every outlet was really impressed with it. But even just beyond the outlets, like there was also I think it was. I think it's either this weekend or it happened already. Mario Odyssey was playable in some capacity, like I think in Mississauga.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's actually happened yet, or if it has.
No, it was this week.
Oh, it was this week. Yeah,
was
because
this
I heard a couple people saying, like in town, saying that they played it and they were also equally as impressed with it.
Yeah, I think it's.
Like,
I think
people I
today's
trust.
the last day, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like for 3 days. Now we're gonna get a chance to play Odyssey coming up soon. I think there's an event that's
July.
Yeah, so we'll give you our full hands on.
I'll give you the skinny.
When we get a chance to play it. So,
Yeah.
Hopefully get 10 more minutes. You
Yeah.
know, and it won't be so crowded.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll just have John.
Well, that's one of the reasons. Number one, we don't live in Mississauga, and hiking all the way out there sucks. But I mean, if you live in Mississauga, or if you really want to make the trip, that's awesome. And yeah, standing in line was not something like we're busy. We all have full-time jobs, and we do this. So unfortunately, going out to
No time.
Going out to stand in line really, really early is not something we can do.
also, we were watching a lot of videos of the E3 coverage this year. Man, that place was packed this year, especially Mario Odyssey. Like the line.
We have to talk about. This is the first year that they
opened to the public.
Public could pay. I mean, let's be real. It was open to the public before. You just had to be either a celebrity or figure out some other way to buy your way in. But this is the first time they advertised that you could buy tickets online, and it was a fucking zoo. All kinds of signs of lines being at capacity. Exactly what we thought was going to happen. Journalists getting turned away from things, who's saying like, "Oh no, this line is busy." The whole thing about like EA Play, we saw there's a thing being passed around for EA Play. It was like, if you're a journalist, please be aware that you're not our priority, and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was insane.
Like just videos upon videos from different people who are there, just recording like just the masses just pouring in there.
Yeah.
Like, just pictures of people just being elbow to elbow, just walking around the show
I love
floor.
it. Like the picture where there's a great video of like the show floor opening on like the second to last day, the doors opening and people running like it was PAX or something. Like it's just like complete insanity. And the reality is that like this is an event. Sure, it's evolving, but this is not an event that was ever built to sort of accommodate that kind of.
It was an extra 15,000 people, wasn't it? this
Yeah.
year?
Yeah.
And so like things filled up real fast. Now, granted, a lot of journals have appointments, and these are behind closed door stuff that happens at E3. So like stuff that these people wouldn't even have access to. So, but it just made it harder for people to just get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Which
Especially
sucks.
when you're carrying camera equipment around and stuff. Like we work in broadcasting, so we know how much of a pain that can be, especially if there's a ton of people there. Like it's not. Again, the show floor seems like it was better accommodated for a large crowd than I had sort of anticipated. But even then, like hearing a lot of horror stories of people who bought tickets to go to E3, waited in line for an entire day and didn't even get to play anything.
Yeah.
Like they waited in one line the entire day. The line didn't finish before the day ended, like the day closed, and then they didn't get to play anything.
There's a hilarious video of I've already forgotten his name, the new video producer for Kotaku, standing in line trying to see Super Mario Odyssey, and it's like him standing there and just like it's like him. They just kind of like cut every couple of minutes, and he's like, "I'm still waiting for Mario here. Show's closing soon." Yeah, and then they like jump forward and it's like. The line hasn't really moved. It's 4:00. Some other people have left because the line was too long and they didn't want to wait. And I guess I'm gonna. It's really, really funny.
That's amazing.
But yeah, that sucks. Because I don't think anybody anticipated how this was going to go.
Yeah. I mean, we had sort of had a feeling ahead of time, but it was just like, it would seem like a bit of a mess. So I'm just wondering if they're going to do that next year. So we're going to sort of wrap things up with what we're playing and stuff like that. But honestly, I just wanted to say as well that there was a lot of stuff at E3. And honestly, one of the best things we got to do was just our coverage here, which I think was a really positive experience. So we hope you guys at least enjoyed that for sure. I mentioned it at the top, off the top, but we love doing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we're playing.
I'll tell you what I'm playing. A game that disappointed me greatly. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah, the demo,
I played the demo, which they announced was going live for this week. And it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
I mean, the fighting is fun, but all it is it's a slice from what is the campaign, I guess?
Yep.
And you do stuff where you fight like Ultron robots.
In fact, that's basically almost all you fight is different Ultron robots.
Yeah.
You do fight Ultra Sigma at some point. Ultron Sigma.
At the end, and you fight some like Asgardian warriors that have been enthralled to Ultron Sigma. The actual fighting system seems cool, but like after playing Injustice 2, I can't go back to a fighting game story that's that just blah.
Yeah.
And also like there's some stuff about it, like the character models look a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't look too closely at Rocket Raccoon. You'll lose,
regret it.
You'll lose your mind. It's dark. Yeah, there's some weird shit. I don't know.
Stuff going on.
I don't know about that game. It feels like a budget game.
Yeah. I don't know
weird.
what's going on with that game. Again, I think the fighting is still sound, which of course is the
Yeah.
most important aspect of Marvel vs. Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do think that arcadey feel, that good fighting feel to the game is still there.
Yeah.
They did talk about how it is a little more accessible, and I do feel like they did add a couple things that make the game a little more accessible, like just the way that you perform hyper combos and things like that. Seems like it's much easier this time around. But
It's also really
the story just left a bad taste in my mouth.
the story is really weird. Like one of the strangest things is that like, and I don't know, maybe it's just kind of like the slice that they gave us for the demo. All the characters are talking to each other like they know each other really well.
Yeah.
So like, like Captain America is like, Chris, and points to Chris Redfield. You'd go take care of that. And he's like, no problem, Cap. And you're like, wait, what? they know each other?
Yeah, it seems like it
happening
was
here?
like in the middle of the story or something.
Yeah.
Really
That's
weird.
bizarre.
Yeah.
That seems. Yeah, it seems really weird.
It was not, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, after, like you said, just after Injustice, like it seems like it's just really weird to go back. Like it's tough to go back to a story like that.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fun for the fighting, but not the story. Brock, what have you been playing?
I've been still trying to figure out the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
And find the fun in it.
Like, there's tons of fun.
I'm still not there yet.
You get to go kill big spiders. It's great.
It's just not capturing me yet. And then I've been playing Wolfenstein: The New Order
Wolfenstein.
because I never finished it, and it is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It is such a good, fun game. It still looks great. It holds up really well. The combat's awesome. Gives off serious Dishonored vibes.
Yeah.
I haven't really done any stealth. I just go in and shoot all the Nazis right in the head.
Sounds about right.
And love every minute of it.
Were you dual wielding a lot, or were you looking?
Oh, I
down
dual
sights?
wield some shotguns.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was dual wielding a shit ton of that game.
Yeah. This is a really fun game, and it's making me really pumped for the new one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because you didn't play it. We got the announcement of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, and you just hadn't played the first one.
No, I hadn't. I started it and
Yeah.
didn't get very far.
Ah, okay, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. Now that your next assignment after you finish that, go play The Evil Within because that game's awesome.
Yes, I'm going to add that to my list because that game looked really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Nice. All right. As for me, I've been playing a little game called The Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
a cool game.
Ryan, you're working on a review for that.
I'm working on a review for that, and it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
Because it's an MMO, and it's just going to take 80 million years to review that game. I'm actually hoping to get my review out next Friday is the date I'm targeting. So it should be out next weekend. Hopefully by then I should have a review for it. There's another game I've been playing, or at least trying to play, Friday the 13th. It's a real good game when you can actually find the game. But like the community, I guess, is so small on Xbox, or it's just the matchmaking is broken or something along those lines. But like even Brock, you were here. We tried to find games like the whole time you were here during E3, and we could hardly find anything. It seemed so weird to me that that's a thing. They have actually released a patch yesterday that makes it so that if you're in queue for 30 seconds, it just puts you in your own room, and then people just join you that way. So at least it's like a mild band-aid to try and fix a bigger issue with that game. But that game is still experiencing problems. I actually have a review I'm writing for that next week too. So look for that on the site next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little tease. I'm working on like 3 reviews right now. It's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a lot to say about that game because I do think that game does a lot of things well and is awesome when it works. It needs to work. That's the only thing it needs to do is allow me to find games, and then I'll enjoy playing it. I'm also playing Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. The early access just started yesterday, and it's been rife with a ton of problems. When you go into a cutscene, the game disconnects.
That's problematic.
Yeah, it's fun. Kotaku actually posted an awesome article you should go check out there of literally people queuing up in line to complete their Red Mage quest. It's amazing. It's like this line that just goes like just miles back.
Oh,
It's
that's
amazing.
not good.
So yeah, you got to check that out as well. All right, so before we wrap up, let's talk about new releases real quick.
Okay, we just had a Twitter question I was going to bring up.
Oh, we're gonna bring.
Yeah.
Why don't we
let's
do
do
that
it.
now?
All right,
Why not?
yeah.
It's a conversational show.
Real-time feedback from Twitter. Thank you.
Well, hold on. We got our first question in like forever, so I'm not used to this.
John Bernardo asks, okay, we'll do this quick. It's a long question, but
Well, we
our
can
biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise of E3, or just biggest surprise?
Biggest
just ever?
surprise of E3.
Yeah.
Metro Prime 4.
Metro Prime 4.
That Mario Rabbids looks good.
Yeah, that's a big surprise too.
Biggest disappointment?
No showing of the Amy Hennig Star Wars game.
Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
I mean, the
a close runner-up.
gameplay actually apparently is fun. Just the look.
The
Yeah.
look
No,
good.
It looks like Saints Row 3.
Yeah. And what were you hoping for that wasn't announced? For me, it's obviously Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
That Amy Hennig Star Wars game.
I'm gonna say one that's a little bit weirder, but along the same lines as you, Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prince of Persia would be nice.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia is a
But
game.
we're kind of getting that with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that's true.
Getting heavy Prince of Persia
Assassin's
vibes.
Creed Origins is filling a lot of that void, but I just really want a new Prince of Persia game. Or Half-Life 3. Where's Half-Life 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we even got Pokemon on Switch, for fuck's sake. We got like this.
Not the Pokemon we wanted, but
Yeah.
we're getting it.
Oh, the biggest disappointment actually, Kingdom Hearts 3, no release date. Where's that?
Oh,
What's that all
jeez.
about?
At least we got a new trailer.
Yeah, you guys were so hyped about that because it's another trailer that's so far away. But thank you for the question, John. We really appreciate it. So again, if you have questions for us, listeners or viewers at home, you can email us at gamemoosecast@gmail.com. You also hit us up on Twitter at game_moose_cast, on Facebook at facebook.com/gamemoosepodcast, and as well on the gram, just search for Game Moose Podcast and we come up right away. Of course, let's finish it off with new releases real quick. ARMS came out this week.
Yep.
It came out on Friday. Final Fantasy 14 Stormblood is out next week. I'm giving the seal of approval because I love Final Fantasy 14. Next Machina, the new game from Housemarque, is coming out next week. It looks awesome. It looks like Resogun, which just sign me up, please.
Okay.
Dead by Daylight is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. It's a game very similar to Friday the 13th. It's a horror game that does a lot of the same things where you play as 6 people that have to try and escape a serial killer.
That sounds like fun.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty much what I do every time I find myself in the annex after midnight. So
It seems like a pretty fun game on PC, apparently. The people like it.
that was a good Toronto joke.
Yeah.
That was. I'm laughing in the inside.
One of 5 people gets it.
Yeah.
Sean Capri, not one of those people.
No.
Next up, God Wars Future Past. That's from NIS. It's a anime-based like a strategy RPG. It looks really cool. And last but not least, MotoGP 17. Yeah.
How is that still around?
I don't know. You can go race your motorbikes, I guess. That's a thing that exists.
I'm surprised people give a shit about that.
Yeah. So, of course, before I throw to Drew's plugs, I just want to also say as well, we were on an episode of We the Gamercast, guys.
Yes, we were.
Friend of the show, Sean Capri, was nice enough to have us on We the Gamercast, which is a topical show where he interviews different guests. You can check that out, I believe, just by searching We the Gamercast on iTunes. It's usually the easiest way to play it. We talked about our reactions to the Xbox press conference, but he actually had a lot of guests on talking about basically all the other conferences as well. Like they had some really good discussions with people.
Yeah.
So
He had the folks from Xbox Canada on, so that was cool.
Yep. Exactly. So, like one of the brand managers came on to talk about some stuff. So before we go, your plugs go.
I'm at T McMillan on Twitter.
Sorry, Brock, I've hit you.
www.game-moose.com for stuff, for articles and reviews and things. We got a review of some hardware coming up.
We got lots of content coming.
Yeah.
By the side of it, now that E3 is over, we could actually creating content for things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should do some of that,
Yeah.
There's boxes sitting in my room.
We talk about all you do is write stuff every day for BrockstarGaming.com.
Wow, thanks for the shout out.
Yeah.
All right. So you can find me
Yeah.
there and Brock McLaughlin on Twitter where I live.
Yeah.
I take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
You are quite the tweeter. You're you tweet it up.
I tweet
As
it
the
up.
kids say.
I tweet with me.
Jesus. And last but not least, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. That's TURFORD. You can also find the Game Moose podcast on YouTube. Search for Game Moose on YouTube, and hopefully if the YouTube search eventually cooperates, you'll be able to find us.
Yeah.
Or just look for us on the Twitter page.
So
or game-moose.com.
Do us a solid if you like the podcast and you want to see our ugly mugs. Go over there, check it out, like and subscribe. Like the videos as many as you can,
or just subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out.
That does
sure.
It helps us out a lot. Yeah,
yeah. Especially because when we actually reach 100, it'll be so much easier just because I'll be able to tell you youtube.com/GameMoose.
Yeah,
but we can't do that yet, ladies and gentlemen. One day. And last but not least, you can also find us on Mixer. Coming up with some streams that we're going to talk about in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Mixer.com/GameMoose. Anyways, for Drew McMillan and Brock McLaughlin, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 83 of the Game Moose podcast, and we're out.